Welcome to the Uncanny Valley podcast, where we pull back the curtain on the things that intrigue, mystify, and sometimes utterly terrify us. Have you ever pondered what truly lies beyond our understanding? What hidden knowledge, once glimpsed, might irrevocably shatter our perception of reality? Today we're venturing into the darkly captivating world of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. This isn't just about rolling dice, you know. It's an exploration of its deep roots in H.P. Lovecraftian horror, and a fascinating look at how cosmic dread, that profound sense of humanity's utter insignificance, is meticulously translated into an interactive, deeply immersive experience. It's a game where you and your companions may very well decide the fate of the world, or at least witness its inevitable, horrifying end.
Right. And to guide us through this intricate, often unsettling universe, we've got our hands on the Keeper rulebook for the 7th edition of Call of Cthulhu. This isn't just a manual, it's a veritable treasure trove of insights into H.P. Lovecraft's unique universe. And, the meticulously crafted mechanics that bring its chilling narratives to vivid, terrifying life right at your table.
Our mission today, for you, our curious listener, is to unravel the core concepts, uncover surprising facts, and dissect the chilling details that have made this game, well, a cultural phenomenon. We're going to give you a true shortcut to understanding why it's so enduring, why it has amassed such a devoted following, and how it continues to profoundly influence authors, artists, and film directors across the horror landscape. It's huge.
It really is.
From the very origins of cosmic horror itself to the intricate, mind-bending details of sanity loss and the truly monstrous encounters that await, we'll uncover the key nuggets of knowledge you'll want to know about this remarkable and often disturbing game.
And to truly appreciate Call of Cthulhu, we absolutely must start with its architect, H.P. Lovecraft. He was an American writer active primarily in the 1920s and 1930s, who, unlike many of his contemporaries, chose to focus not just on physical monsters, but on horrors from beyond and from within. That's key. His work, initially quite niche, gained an immense and almost cult-like reputation posthumously, following his death in 1937. Today, he's unequivocally recognized as a major 20th century horror writer and really a cult figure in his own right, inspiring countless others. Lovecraft's fiction is surprisingly diverse, ranging from early science fiction to more classic Gothic horror, and perhaps most famously, delving into profound, often nihilistic cosmic terror that, well, it basically redefined the genre.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how it wasn't just Lovecraft himself who shaped this universe. His work was deeply influenced by other writers, and he masterfully wove those influences into something distinctly his own. You can really see it.
Oh, absolutely. For instance, you can see echoes of Edgar Allan Poe's psychological dread and Gothic atmosphere in tales like The Outsider. Clear parallels.
Right.
Arthur Macon's The Great God Pan, with its unsettling blend of folk horror and ancient pagan forces that shares thematic similarities with Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror. You can draw a line between them. Even Ambrose Bierce and Robert W. Chambers with their mysterious play The King in Yellow and its haunting locales like the Lake of Hali and Carcosa. They didn't just inspire him, they gifted him fertile ground upon which to create his own iconic tomes, like the infamous Necronomicon and the Necrotic manuscripts.
So he wasn't just copying, he was emphasizing, twisting these ideas into something far more vast and, well, uncaring.
Exactly. That synthesis led directly to Lovecraft's most famous invention, what we now universally call the Cthulhu Mythos. This isn't just one story or even a collection of stories in a traditional sense. No, it's a sprawling, interconnected web of tales sharing common plot elements, particularly those forbidden mythical books of arcane lore and alien, utterly godlike entities. What's truly fascinating here and unique to its enduring power is how other authors, often his protégés and friends, were so profoundly inspired that they actively contributed to and expanded this complex mythology.
So it grew beyond him.
It really did. They added new gods, new tomes, new horrors, further advancing its concepts and constituent parts, making it a living, breathing, ever-evolving lore. Even today, Cthulhu stories are still being written and filmed by the heirs to Lovecraft's literary legacy. It's a testament to its organic growth and terrifying appeal.
Wow.
It is worth noting, however, that Sandy Petersen, the original designer of the Call of Cthulhu game, he made very deliberate choices about what to include from this sprawling mythos. Very intentional.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, he intentionally left out certain elements that had been added by others over the years, things he felt didn't align with Lovecraft's original concept. For example, he dismissed the idea of a war in heaven between the Great Old Ones and supposed elder gods of good.
Right, that feels a bit too conventional.
Exactly. And he rejected the notion of Great Old Ones being tied to Greek elements like fire, water, earth, air. He believed these later additions actually weakened the core horror, which, for Lovecraft, was always rooted in a bleak, uncaring universe where humanity is left naked, vulnerable, and utterly defenseless against forces beyond his comprehension. That was the point.
And that's a critical point, isn't it? That rich, terrifying, and ever-expanding universe, specifically curated to retain that bleak, profound horror, became the perfect material for a role-playing game. It truly puts you, the player, in a position where you can quite literally decide the fate of the world, or perhaps more accurately, the fate of your sanity, facing horrors that transcend human comprehension and remind you of your own utter insignificance. So, after all that setup, what is Call of Cthulhu at its heart? Well, first and foremost, think of it as a horror-themed role-playing game, but crucially, it's not a video game. That's important. This is a truly collaborative storytelling experience where one person guides the overarching narrative, like a director, and everyone else plays a character within that narrative, improvising their own scripts. It's about collective imagination, shared dread, and the power of human interaction.
That's a key distinction. In Call of Cthulhu, you essentially have two main roles, each vital to the experience. There's the Keeper, who acts as the game moderator. Imagine them as a film director and narrator combined. The Keeper selects a story, known as a scenario. The rulebook itself, for instance, provides two full ones and presents its structure and unfolding events to the players, guiding them through the mystery. Then you have the players, who are like the actors in this improvisational play. They step into the shoes of investigators, who are not epic heroes, not at all. They're ordinary people suddenly thrust into extraordinary, terrifying circumstances. They are the fragile human element in a universe that doesn't care about them.
And that's precisely where the unique appeal comes in. You don't have to be anything like yourself when you play an investigator. Not at all. One session, you could step into the scuffed boots of a tough private eye with a drinking problem. The next, you might be a fast-talking, rude taxi driver who somehow stumbles upon a cult ritual, or perhaps even a sinisterly genteel occultist, well-versed in ancient lore, but maybe a bit too curious for their own good. This allows for incredibly rich, diverse character play, and opens up endless possibilities for how you interact with the world, its mysteries, and the unspeakable horrors it holds. It's a chance to truly inhabit someone else's skin and, crucially, their vulnerabilities.
And those vulnerabilities are central because the stakes are genuinely terrifyingly high. During the game, your investigators may become physically injured, certainly suffer sanity-shattering experiences from contact with the mythos, or even die.
Yeah, death is very real.
Very real. The game hammers home that investigators are fragile, they are human. However, it also emphasizes a perverse kind of heroism. Someone has to make a stand against the cosmic horrors of the universe. The sacrifice of a single investigator, even if it seems futile, matters if it means repulsing Cthulhu's master plan to enslave the Earth, or at least delaying it.
Right, a small victory against overwhelming odds.
Exactly. And for those who are lucky, or perhaps unlucky enough to survive, there's a compelling cycle of progression. They will gain cower from arcane volumes of forgotten lore, accumulate dangerous knowledge of horrendous monsters, and advance in their skills as they become more experienced. This cycle continues, building a growing sense of competence alongside a mounting existential dread, until their demise or retirement, whichever comes first, and often it's the former.
So we've talked about the concept and the roles. Now let's get practical. What does one actually need to gather to play this game? The rulebook lays it out clearly, and thankfully it's not an insurmountable list. You need this very rulebook, of course. Some role-playing dice, a little bit of paper, pencils, an eraser, at least 2 other people to game with because this is a social experience, a quiet place like your kitchen table or a comfy living room, and about 3 or 4 hours in which to immerse yourself. So that's the basics.
Exactly, and those role-playing dice are crucial to how the game plays out. They're pretty central. While you'll encounter a few different types, the most common and central to the system are percentile dice, or D100.
D100.
Okay. This effectively means you're rolling to get a percentage chance of success against a skill or characteristic. It's often achieved by rolling 2 10-sided dice. One represents the tens digit from 0 to 90, and the other the units digit from 0 to 9.
Ah, okay. So like a 2 and a 3 is 23.
Precisely. If you roll a 2 on the tens die and a 3 on the units die, that's 23. If you roll 2 zeros, that's typically read as 100, usually the worst result.
Right.
Sometimes you'll see a notation like 2d6, which simply means rolling 2 six-sided dice and adding their results together. That's often used for things like damage or more variable effects. The beauty of the percentile system is its simplicity and how quickly it resolves actions, keeping the narrative flowing even as that dread builds.
Right. It keeps things moving. So a typical session often starts very casually, which is almost a stark contrast to the horrors that will unfold.
Yeah.
It's friends catching up, organizing snacks and drinks, just setting a relaxed, almost deceptively normal tone. Then, the keeper guides everyone through creating their investigators, a process often playfully called roll-up. You're rolling dice, filling out those investigator sheets, and collaboratively comparing ideas for characters, making sure there's a good balance of skills and occupations within the group. This initial phase helps everyone form the group, agreeing on roles for each investigator, building a sense of camaraderie that will soon be tested to its breaking point.
Definitely. The rulebook gives a truly vivid example of how a game might unfold, painting a picture that's both tense and illustrative of the keeper's role. Imagine Kathy deciding her character will sneak back to relay a crucial piece of information, while Joe and Paula's characters are poised to enter a darkened, mysterious building.
Okay.
Arnold, playing a cautious professor, hesitates at the threshold, his academic instincts warning him away. But ultimately, he agrees to join the group inside. The keeper then describes the setting in chilling detail. It's very dark and quiet inside. The air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and something indefinably wrong.
Ooh, creepy.
The tension ratchets up. Paula might use Joe's flashlight, taking the lead, while others keep their lights doused. The better to avoid detection, or perhaps to avoid seeing what's lurking. Suddenly, the front door slams closed behind them with a resounding thud.
Whoa.
And you hear heavy stomping footsteps echoing from deeper within. The keeper might even stomp on the floor for effect, immersing you in the moment.
Nice touch.
Arnold's professor character is by the window, already sizing up a desperate escape. Paula is shining her light into the gloom, and Jake, Kathy's character, pulls out his .38 snub-nose revolver, its metallic glint a small comfort against the darkness. Joe's character is cowering behind Jake and Paula, fumbling for his trench knife. And then the keeper describes it. Shuffling into the room, silhouetted against a faint, sickly glow, is a ghastly parody of a man. It stands almost 8 feet tall, with deformed, twisted extremities that seem to bend at impossible angles. Its face is a mass of wrinkles, devoid of recognizable features, as if its very identity has been erased. Its sickly brown-green skin is loose, hanging like rags, and strips of decaying flesh flap wetly from its limbs. It drips the same filthy brown water you've encountered earlier, leaving a glistening, putrid trail. At that point, as the horror solidifies before them, everyone at the table has to make a crucial sanity roll. A success means they manage to process the horror, losing only 1 sanity point. But a failure. That's going to be a loss of 1d10 points, a much deeper plunge into madness. Instantly.
Wow. That's the horror in action, isn't it? It's not just described, it's mechanically enforced. Now, for anyone planning to step into that keeper role, it's worth noting the rulebook's carefully structured design.
It's very clear.
There's a dedicated rules section spanning chapters 3 to 9, which contains absolutely everything a player needs to know about their character, skills, and the general flow of play. But then there's the keeper's reference section, chapters 10-16, which is strictly only for those who intend to run games.
Right. Keep out, players.
Exactly. The book explicitly states that reading these pages may spoil your enjoyment because they contain all the mysteries, the true nature of the mythos, and the secrets of the included scenarios. It's a clever way to protect the mystery, ensuring the keeper alone holds the terrifying keys.
And as a final yet incredibly important recommendation for aspiring keepers, the book stresses the absolute importance of familiarizing yourself with Lovecraft's original works. By reading his stories, not just summaries, but truly immersing yourself in his prose, you'll not only learn a tremendous amount about the Cthulhu mythos and its various entities, but you'll also begin to instinctively understand the key horror themes that are so integral to the game.
Right. Get the feel for it.
Exactly. It's about internalizing the mood, the philosophical dread, and the profound sense of insignificance that permeates his writings, allowing you to bring that true Lovecraftian atmosphere to your own game. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, let's unpack the very essence of your character in this unsettling world. Your investigator isn't just a collection of numbers on a sheet, a mere stat block, right?
Not at all.
These core characteristics are the very foundation of who they are, determining how they interact with the world, and more importantly, with the sanity-shattering horrors it holds. They're what make your character unique, defining not just their capabilities, but their very vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some of these core characteristics. First, there's Eon, or Constitution. This is generated by rolling 3d6 and multiplying by 5, so it's usually between 15 and 90. This represents your investigator's health, vigor, and vitality. Pretty standard stuff. It directly influences your hit points, which track how much physical damage you can endure, and your resistance to debilitating poisons and diseases. The consequence is stark and ever-present. If your constitution reaches 0, your investigator dies. Simple as that.
Grim.
Then, INT, or intelligence, also rolled as 3d6 by 5. This governs your knowledge, reasoning, perception, and problem solving. It's primarily used for intellectual puzzles and understanding complex situations, but beyond mere logic, a high INT can mean a character is more likely to grasp the true horror of the mythos, sometimes to their own detriment. A double-edged sword.
Ah, okay. Understanding is dangerous.
Very. Then we have POW, or power, again 3d6 by 5. This is profoundly important. It indicates your investigator's force of will and, crucially, their psychic strength. A higher POW means a higher aptitude for and resistance to magic. It's your mental fortitude. But beware, an investigator with 0 POW becomes zombie-like and without purpose, their will utterly broken, completely unable to use or resist magic.
Wow, just gone.
Gone. It's a terrifying embodiment of Lovecraft's idea that confronting the mythos can erode the very core of one's being. Lastly, EDU, or education, derived from 3d6 by 5, represents your formal schooling or self-taught knowledge. A score of 60 might suggest a high school graduate, around 70 some college, and above 80 indicates graduate-level work and a degree. However, it's vital to remember that high EDU doesn't always mean traditional schooling.
Right.
It can also reflect a highly studious and observant nature, someone who has simply absorbed a vast amount of knowledge, however unorthodox the source. Book smarts versus street smarts, kind of.
Here's where it gets really interesting and a bit counterintuitive for players coming from other RPGs, maybe. A low characteristic doesn't necessarily mean a poor investigator.
Not at all.
The rulebook explicitly points out that the amount of INT, for example, seems to contradict another characteristic. That's not a flaw. It's another chance for deep role-playing. You could have a pedantic teacher with high EDU but low INT. Someone who knows a vast number of facts but utterly struggles to grasp their true meanings or apply them practically.
Right. Knows the theory but can't see the bigger picture.
Exactly. Conversely, an uneducated farm boy might have low EDU but surprisingly high INT, meaning he's not dull-witted at all, just lacking formal schooling, perhaps with a razor-sharp natural wit. This adds wonderful depth and nuance to character creation, allowing for archetypes that are compelling precisely because of their quirks and inherent vulnerabilities. Why do you think this emphasis on nuanced, sometimes contradictory characteristics is so important to the Call of Cthulhu experience?
Well, it's absolutely crucial because it reinforces the game's core theme, humanity's fragility and diversity in the face of the unknown. Unlike many games where you strive for idealized heroes, Call of Cthulhu revels in the perfectly imperfect human. That pedantic teacher with low INT becomes a character whose vast knowledge is ironically useless when confronted with true cosmic horror, a tragic figure. The high INT farm boy, unburdened by formal dogma, might intuit truths that shatter the educated mind, but perhaps lacks the vocabulary to articulate them, creating a unique kind of dread. These contradictions make characters feel real, relatable, and therefore their descent into madness or their desperate struggles are all the more poignant for the player. It's about the human drama first, the horror second.
That makes sense. It grounds the cosmic horror in something relatable.
Exactly. And age plays a surprisingly significant role in shaping these characteristics, beautifully reflecting the trade-off between youthful vigor and accumulated wisdom. As investigators get older, they typically see deductions from their strength, constitution, or dexterity, and an unavoidable reduction in their appearance. Physical decline.
Makes sense.
For instance, an investigator between 50 and 59 years old would deduct 10 points distributed among those 3 physical stats and reduce their appearance by 10 points. However, older characters also gain valuable improvement checks for education.
The trade-off.
Right. For a 42-year-old, like the example of Harvey Walters, they might make 2 improvement checks for EDU. If their EDU is 80 and they roll an 86, they add 1d10 points, potentially significantly improving their education, though it cannot go above 99. This mechanic beautifully reflects the trade-off between decaying physical form and the profound accumulation of life experience and knowledge. making older characters often more resourceful, if physically frailer.
So we've talked about these foundational characteristics, but how do they translate into your investigator's very survival and sanity, the very elements that bring the game's horror to bear?
Well, your core characteristics then directly influence your derived attributes. These are calculated from the main ones. Your sanity points, for instance, are equal to your POW characteristic. That's your starting mental resilience.
Your buffer against the abyss. Your magic points are 1/5 of your POW, gauging your magical aptitude and your capacity to channel forbidden energies. And your hit points, which track physical damage, are calculated by adding your size and constitution together, then dividing by 10. You also roll for luck points, which can be a vital, albeit fleeting, resource in desperate situations. Tell us more about luck. Why is it so vital in a game where so much seems stacked against the players?
Luck in Call of Cthulhu is often the only thing standing between an investigator and a truly horrific demise.
Yeah.
It's a beautifully double-edged sword. You roll your luck points at the start, usually 3d6 times 5, just like the main stats. And they act as a finite resource you can spend to literally alter reality in your favor, just slightly.
How so?
Maybe making a missed attack hit, or finding a dropped clue, or avoiding a trap you would have otherwise fallen into. It's the universe, for a brief moment, bending to your will, just a nudge. But once those points are gone, they're gone for the session usually, leaving you completely exposed. It reinforces that fundamental human vulnerability. Sometimes, despite all your skills and knowledge, only sheer blind luck can save you from a cosmos that cares nothing for your survival.
Right.
And that makes the moments you spend it feel truly desperate and impactful. It's a big decision.
Okay, so beyond these core and derived attributes, investigators also gain a rich array of skills.
Right. You'll choose an occupation, which instantly grants you a specific set of occupation skills reflecting your character's professional background, like detective having high spot hidden or library use, or a doctor possessing medicine expertise. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, intuitive.
Then you can allocate personal interest points, a pool determined by your INT multiplied by 2 to any other skills you desire, further personalizing your character. Though generally not Cthulhu Mythos unless the Keeper specifically allows it, as that knowledge is too dangerous to be gained just casually.
Gotta earn that madness.
Exactly. Skills like fighting brawl or science biology are broad categories, and you'll often specialize within them. Like, maybe you're good at pistols but not rifles. It's important to note that skill percentiles are not a proportion of hypothetically knowable information in some cosmic sense. A modern physicist with 60% physics knows much more than a 1910 physicist with 90% might have, for example. It's simply your relative competence in that skill within the game's context.
Gotcha. Relative competence. And then there's credit rating, which surprisingly isn't just about how much money your character has in their bank account.
No, it's more about lifestyle.
It dictates their entire living standards and social standing within the game world. A credit rating of 90 plus signifies being rich, allowing for plush residences, domestic help, luxury cars, and first-class travel, with no need to track minor expenses. On the other hand, a lower credit rating means more meager existence, with every penny potentially counting.
Right. Poor's is 0.9, average is 10.49, wealthy 50.89, rich 90 plus.
This means your wealth, or lack thereof, directly impacts your daily life and opportunities within the game, from your accommodation to how you travel, and even who you can reasonably interact with. It subtly but powerfully shapes your investigator's place in society.
Absolutely. And finally, the power of backstory truly brings an investigator to life, making them more than just a collection of numbers. The rulebook provides wonderful random tables for significant people in your character's life, their ideology, beliefs, and their treasured possessions. These aren't meant to be restrictive mandates. They're springboards for imagination, designed to help you weave together a credible, all-around character with motivations, connections, and vulnerabilities.
Give us an example.
Sure, a role might indicate your character has an unexpected child. That prompts you to consider, is it from a clandestine affair? Or did they adopt them after a spouse's tragic death? Instantly adds depth. Or perhaps you find an item of unknown, unsettling origin, like a strange, tarnished locket, fueling a quest for answers about its true nature. These elements create deep personal hooks that the Keeper can and absolutely should weave into the narrative, making the story uniquely yours and making the mythos horrors feel terrifyingly personal.
Right, because now it's threatening your connections, your beliefs.
Precisely. I've seen players become so invested in these backstories that the true horror isn't just the monster, but the threat it poses to what their character holds most dear. That's powerful stuff.
Okay, let's talk about the crunch, the dice rolls that determine success or failure in this terrifying world. Most actions in Call of Cthulhu are resolved with a 1d100 roll against a skill or characteristic. That's the core mechanic, yeah.
That's the core loop, absolutely. It's the bread and butter of how you interact with the game. Determining if your quick wit helps you solve a puzzle, or if your desperate dodge helps you avoid a monster's claw. Simple, elegant. The rulebook defines several crucial levels of success, making each roll feel distinct. A regular success means you roll equal to or below your skill value. That's a basic pass.
Okay.
A hard success is achieved if you roll equal to or below half your skill value. So if your skill is 50, you need 25 or less. Indicates a more challenging but still successful feat. And an extreme success is for rolling equal to or below 1/5 of your skill. Skill 50, you need 10 or less. Represents a truly exceptional or miraculous outcome.
Wow. Okay, so different degrees of success.
Exactly. These levels aren't just mechanical. They give the keeper different narrative levers. On the flip side, a fumble is a roll of 100 or 96 or over for skills below 50, indicating a critical failure that often leads to disastrous yet narratively compelling consequences. Things go really wrong. The keeper also has the discretion to rule that some tasks have no chance of success at all and thus no roll is allowed, further reinforcing the brutal realism. Sometimes you just can't do it.
So what does this all mean for you, the player, beyond just passing a check? The keeper, acting as the game's director, uses these different levels of success and failure to describe the outcome of your actions, often with surprising or dire consequences. An extreme success might mean you not only disarm the bomb, but find crucial schematics hidden inside. A bonus.
Right.
A fumble on a stealth roll might mean you don't just fail to be sneaky, you trip, fall, and knock over a pile of rusty buckets, alerting every monstrous thing in the vicinity. It keeps the tension high and ensures even simple actions can have dramatic narrative weight.
What's particularly dynamic and frankly terrifying about the Call of Cthulhu system is the concept of pushing skills. This is a big one.
Pushing. Okay, explain that.
If you make an initial skill roll and you fail, you can often push it for a second, desperate attempt. You describe how you're trying harder, taking more risks. But, and this is crucial, if you fail again on a pushed roll, the consequences are far more dire and interesting than a simple initial failure.
Higher stakes on the second try.
Dramatically higher. The stakes are raised. For example, if you're trying to debug a complex computer program under pressure and fail a pushed roll, you might not just fail to fix it. You could accidentally erase the sought-after files, corrupt the whole system, or even trigger a security alarm. Something bad happens. Or if you're trying to defuse a bomb in a desperate rush, a failed pushed roll doesn't mean it just sits there. It means it explodes immediately. Boom. The keeper is also strongly encouraged to foreshadow these dire consequences before you commit to that second risky attempt, allowing you to gauge whether the potential reward is worth the catastrophic risk. It's a fantastic mechanism for creating intense moments of player choice and dread.
Yeah, that sounds intense. Do I risk it all?
Exactly. Beyond single skill checks, the game also employs opposed rolls. This is where two sides roll against each other like in a desperate struggle, a tense interrogation, or a persuasion attempt.
Okay, head to head.
Right. Both sides declare their mutually exclusive goals, select a relevant skill or characteristic, and the side with the better level of success wins. So an extreme success beats a hard, which beats a regular. It's dynamic and immediate. Then there are combined rolls. This is where one roll is made against multiple skills simultaneously, like attempting to repair a complex alien device that requires both mechanical repair and electrical repair expertise.
So you need both skills to succeed on one roll.
Correct. You need to succeed in both skills on that single roll. Adding layers of complexity to more intricate challenges makes those multi-talented investigators valuable.
Combat in Call of Cthulhu isn't just about reducing hit points, is it? It's designed to be visceral, terrifying, and often brutally swift.
Especially when you're facing something from the mythos.
Yeah.
It's designed to be a series of rolls, not just a single one, until there's a clear and often bloody victor or retreat.
So how does it flow?
The flow of combat is quite cinematic, designed to keep players on their toes. Players first declare their character's actions, often using vivid narrative descriptions like, I'm smashing the cultist over the head with this rickety chair, or I'm firing my revolver directly into its hideous maw. Be descriptive.
Right.
The keeper then tells them which skill to roll against, such as fighting, brawl, or firearms. In Melee, a character has a tactical choice. They can either fight back, attempting a counterattack, or try to dodge the incoming attack entirely.
Fight or flight, basically.
Pretty much. If a target is surprised or simply fails to anticipate an attack, the keeper may rule it an automatic success for the attacker. Underscoring the sudden, brutal nature of combat in this game, surprise attacks hurt.
And the damage system is unforgiving, designed to reinforce human fragility. You mentioned investigators are fragile.
Extremely. Regular damage from a single attack leads to unconsciousness at 0 hit points, but you won't necessarily die from it directly. You're just knocked out, vulnerable.
Okay, so 0 HP isn't instant death usually.
Usually not. However, if you suffer a major wound, meaning you take half or more of your maximum hit points in one blow, you must immediately make a Constitution roll to remain conscious.
The big hits.
Yeah, fail that con roll and you're knocked out, vulnerable. And if you take more than your maximum hit points in a single attack, the result is instantaneous, brutal death.
No saving throws.
Nope, there are no heroic last stands, no lingering farewells. You're
Right.
simply gone, splat. It's a mechanic that makes every point of damage feel genuinely threatening.
Yeah, I bet. How about healing? Is it quick?
Not really. The system is grimly realistic, reflecting the human body's limitations. First aid can recover a meager 1 hit point if delivered within an hour of the injury, just 1 point.
That's it.
That's it. Medicine is a bit more involved, taking a minimum of an hour to administer and recovering a 1d3 hit points. Though it's harder, requires a harder roll if not performed on the same day as the injury. You can only benefit from 1 first aid and 1 medicine treatment until you take further damage, preventing quick, miraculous recoveries. No potion chugging here.
Right, gritty.
There's also a knockout blow maneuver for blunt attacks, where a successful hit renders the opponent unconscious with only 1 hit point of damage. It's a non-lethal option, though still dangerous. And as an optional but very flavorful rule, you can even spend luck points to remain conscious for a few extra rounds after being knocked out. But the cost doubles each successive round a mixed blessing, as it makes you a more attractive and increasingly desperate target, burning luck to stay up.
Firearms in particular have their own specialized rules, setting them apart from melee combat and often making them a desperate last resort.
Very much so. They're not resolved with opposed rolls like melee often is. Instead, the difficulty of hitting depends on factors like range, cover, and lighting. Point blank is easier than long range, obviously.
Makes sense.
Multiple shots in a round often incur a penalty die, reflecting the difficulty of accurate rapid fire. Trying to spray bullets isn't easy. If you achieve an extreme success with a firearm, it's considered an impale, meaning you deal maximum damage plus an additional damage roll for the weapon. A truly devastating shot.
Ouch. Impale.
Yeah. Armor, whether natural on monsters or worn by cultists or rarely investigators, reduces damage. But for single specific attacks, a luck roll is often required to determine if the armor was hit or if the attack found an unprotected area. Armor isn't foolproof.
So it's not a guarantee of safety, but a desperate gamble.
Exactly. Moving from direct combat, the game introduces dynamic chases, which are truly pulse-pounding segments. Lovecraft had chases, the game has chases.
How do they work?
To establish a chase, characters make a con roll if on foot, or drive auto roll for vehicles to determine their MOV or movement rate. An extreme success can actually increase your MOV for the duration of the chase, while a failure dramatically decreases it. If the fleeing character's adjusted MOV is higher than their pursuer, they simply escape, and the chase is over. A clean getaway.
Okay, so speed matters.
But if the pursuer's MOV is equal to or greater, then you cut to the chase. This is neat. This means the action immediately jumps to the pursuer being just 2 locations behind the fleeing character, focusing on the most exciting, desperate part of the pursuit, rather than tedious tracking across a map.
Smart. Get you straight into the action, right in the thick of it.
Exactly. Movement between locations usually costs 1 action if the path is clear, but chases really come alive with the introduction of hazards.
Hazards, like what?
These are dynamic obstacles like formidable fences, crumbling walls, snarled traffic jams, or even police roadblocks that require specific skill rolls to overcome: climb, jump, strength, or locksmith, for instance, depending on the hazard. A successful roll means you navigate the obstacle swiftly. A failure, however, can put you in grave danger or allow your pursuers to close the distance.
Okay, so obstacles make it interesting. What happens if you fail?
Failing to overcome a hazard can have immediate and dramatic consequences, such as being slowed by 1d3 movement actions, giving pursuers a chance to catch up, or even taking damage if, say, you misjudged a jump and landed badly. 1d6 damage, maybe? Vehicle collisions are particularly impactful and brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Vehicles take build damage, reflecting structural integrity, while occupants take hit points of damage. Severe incidents can result in the vehicle being completely wrecked, a mangled heap of metal, with occupants likely dying on impact, though a desperate luck roll might allow them to be thrown free, albeit with a painful 2d10 damage.
Yikes. Cars are death traps.
Pretty much. It's a very brutal, visceral system that truly emphasizes the danger of a high-speed pursuit.
And what's truly chaotic and exciting, adding an unpredictable twist, is the sudden hazards optional rule. Tell me about that.
Okay, this is fun. Once per round, a group luck roll allows the winner, either the keeper or the players, to place a regular hazard where they wish.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
So the players can create hazards too?
Yes. Imagine the players making a brilliant getaway, only for the keeper to win the luck roll and suddenly declare a giant festering sinkhole has opened in the road ahead.
Ah, cruel.
Or, conversely, the players win, and suddenly a police roadblock appears right in the path of the cultists pursuing them. Convenient. This means a chase is never just a simple race. It's a dynamic, constantly evolving struggle for survival, full of unexpected twists and turns. Keeps everyone guessing.
Perhaps the most defining element of Call of Cthulhu, what truly sets it apart from almost any other role-playing game, is the direct mechanical representation of insanity.
The sanity mechanic.
It's not just a narrative flourish or a role-playing suggestion. It's built into the very rules of the game, a core, inescapable consequence of facing the mythos. It embodies the very philosophical horror of Lovecraft's vision.
Indeed. Insanity in Call of Cthulhu is directly induced by traumatic experiences and the ghastly comprehension that connects to the Cthulhu mythos. It's not about being crazy in a mundane sense. It's the human mind struggling and inevitably failing to cope with truths it was never meant to grasp.
Right. It's cosmic horror hitting home.
Exactly. It's the universe whispering secrets your sanity cannot bear.
The game meticulously differentiates between two main types of insanity, each with its own terrifying narrative implications. What are they?
Okay, first there's temporary insanity. This can be triggered by losing 5 or more sanity points in one go, a sudden shock to the system, like seeing that ghastly parody of a man earlier. This bout of madness lasts for 1d10 hours. Game time. And here's the perverse twist. If you succeed on an intelligence roll at this point, it means your character understands the full ghastly significance of the horror you've just witnessed. And that's what truly tips you into temporary madness. It's the clarity of comprehension that breaks you. Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Wow. So being smart makes you more likely to go temporarily mad from the shock.
In that specific instance, yes. Then there's indefinite insanity. This is a much more severe and prolonged break from reality. This is triggered by a profound loss. 1/5 or more of your current sanity points in a single game day.
A fifth in one day. Ouch!
Yeah! This is a deep, fundamental break lasting until the character is professionally cured through therapy or manages to recover on their own. A slow, arduous process. Months, maybe years.
And what happens during these bouts of madness?
The side effects of insanity are where things get truly disturbing and personal for the investigator. They're often tied to the source of the madness. They include lasting phobias, which are irrational fears that cling to the character. The rulebook lists examples like vestophobia, the fear of clothing, which means a character might strip naked in a panic.
Oh my.
Or zoophobia, the fear of animals, which could be utterly debilitating in a rural setting. Then there are manias, compulsive obsessions such as hoplomania, and uncontrollable obsession with firearms, forcing a character to always carry and perhaps discharge a gun, or infomania, an excessive, dangerous devotion to accumulating facts, even at great personal risk. And finally, delusions, where your character's perception of reality is utterly distorted. They might believe the cultists are actually angels trying to help them, or that the police are secretly deep ones plotting against them. Complete break from reality. The Keeper is also strongly encouraged to amend or add details to your investigator's backstory during a bout of madness, reflecting their descent by corrupting positive traits, introducing new unsettling secrets, or weaving the character more deeply into the unfolding plot in a horrifying way.
Making it personal again.
Exactly. The chilling aspect is that while experiencing a bout of madness, you cannot lose further sanity points.
Really? Why not?
Your mind is already completely unhinged, so subsequent horrors are either forgotten, dismissed as part of madness, or simply don't register. Your broken mind acts as its own perverse shield.
That's darkly fascinating.
Oh.
And then there's a brutal, insidious mechanic called the reality check. What's that?
Okay, if your investigator is suffering from delusions, the Keeper might call for a sanity roll to see if you can dismiss them, to claw back a shred of lucidity, to see things as they really are. Maybe. But if you fail that roll, You don't just remain deluded. You lose another sanity point and suffer another bout of madness, reinforcing the delusion.
Oh no.
It's a terrifying downward spiral, a mind trapped in its own self-perpetuating nightmare, constantly eroding its own defenses. Each failure digs you deeper.
That's bleak. What's the worst that can happen with sanity loss?
The ultimate tragic consequence of profound, indefinite insanity can be involuntary commitment to an asylum, a fate arguably worse than death for many investigators.
Way worse.
Here, the investigator might lose the capacity to manage personal finances, the right to drive an automobile, the right to make treatment decisions. All fundamental civil liberties are stripped away, leaving them helpless, institutionalized. The rulebook provides the chilling example of Harvey Walters, who, after being arrested by the authorities, continually babbles about saving the world from the Cthulhu cult. His desperate warnings dismissed as the ravings of a madman, leading to his involuntary and potentially permanent commitment.
Just locked away, unable to act.
Exactly. This isn't just a game mechanic, it's a profound narrative device that drives home the complete, tragic destruction of a character's life and agency. A fate that many players find more horrifying than being devoured by a monster. Loss of self.
That's a profound point, that loss of self, that erosion of agency. It directly ties into the game's central philosophical horror.
Yeah.
The path to mythos wisdom often leads directly to insanity, as the rulebook states so perfectly. Sanity gauges a person's hold on what we term reality, which is not reality at all, but only a consensual human delusion, or limited understanding that protects the mind from that which it cannot fully comprehend, the Cthulhu Mythos.
Chilling, isn't it?
It's a truly unsettling concept that lies at the heart of the game, suggesting our entire perception of the world as a fragile, self-imposed prison.
This brings us neatly to mythos tomes, those forbidden, blasphemous books like the infamous Necronomicon or the Ancient Book of Iban, the source of so much trouble.
Right, reading them is bad, but necessary.
It's a Faustian bargain, absolutely. Reading these volumes inevitably means sanity point loss as your mind grapples with their horrific, reality-shattering content. You pay a price in sanity. However, it also means gaining valuable Cthulhu Mythos skill points, granting you deeper, albeit dangerous, insights into the true nature of the cosmos.
So you learn secrets, but it costs you.
Always. A full study of one of these tomes can take weeks or months of game time, a slow, deliberate corrosion of your sanity and sense of self. It's not a quick read. What's fascinating is that each copy of a Mythos book can be different.
How so?
Pages might be illegible, stained with ancient blood, or even missing. Or there might be unique marginalia and inserted notes from previous equally deluded owners, hand-copied errors, mad scribbles. This is because, as the book sagely points out, sorcerers and cultists are not librarians.
Oh, good point.
They're not concerned with posterity or organized knowledge. They hoard secrets, twist truths, and leave their own maddened imprints on these conduits of cosmic terror. Each book is a unique horror.
And spellcasting itself, even for those brave or foolish enough to attempt it, is inherently dangerous. How does that work?
Okay, for the very first casting of a new spell you just learned, a hard POW roll is required. A test of your mental fortitude against the spell's power. If you fail that initial roll, nothing happens. The magic simply fizzles. Wasted effort.
Okay, anticlimax.
But here's the kicker, and this is where the game's unique brand of horror truly shines. If you decide to push the roll for a second, desperate attempt, and you fail again, the spell still works.
It still works even if you fail the pushed roll.
Yes. But dire consequences ensue for the caster. This means the spell always works if you're willing to pay the price by pushing it. The roll simply determines how much you suffer for it, forcing players into agonizing choices.
Wow. So failure means success, with a terrible cost.
Exactly. You might summon that creature, but maybe it attacks you, or you suffer terrible physical corruption, or lose even more sanity. The game also mentions the optional rule for spontaneous use of the Cthulhu Mythos skill, which the keeper is cautioned to use carefully, as it can grant disproportionate power if not managed correctly, again reinforcing that dangerous knowledge comes at a price.
What kinds of spells are we talking about?
They fall into different categories, each with their own terrifying implications and ethical dilemmas. Call spells are immense rituals that aim to bring a physical manifestation of a god before the caster. Big, dangerous magic.
Like calling Cthulhu himself.
Potentially, or lesser gods like Ithaca. They require specific, often disturbing conditions and sacrifices. For example, Call Ithaca requires a spell to be cast on an enormous amount of snow in the far north. Though some wizards conjecture it might work from any high, snowy mountain, even in the South Pole. Imagine the sheer audacity and desperation required.
Right. Then what?
Contact spells are like an esoteric telephone call, attempting to draw mythos monsters to the caster, but they come of their own volition and are not under the caster's direct control once they arrive. You're just inviting them over.
Risky.
Very. Contact Deep One, for instance, should be cast at the edge of a saltwater ocean or sea, preferably near a Deep One city, involving throwing specially inscribed stones into the water. You hope they show up and are friendly-ish. Finally, summoning spells have the potential to allow casters to bind the summoned beings to their will.
So you control them.
That's the key distinction from contact spells. Here, you might gain a monstrous servant, but at what cost to your soul, and how long can such a binding truly last? Control is often temporary or flawed.
And the rulebook gives us some truly chilling examples of specific spells that exemplify the game's unique blend of physical and psychological horror. Give us a few.
Okay, buckle up. There's a portion caught. This allows the caster to transfer a portion of their life essence into one of their vital organs, which is then surgically removed and hidden somewhere safe.
Wait, what? Removed?
Removed. As long as that organ remains safe, the caster gains a twisted form of invulnerability, regenerating damage. Imagine the moral and existential horror of literally keeping your heart in a box.
That's deeply unsettling. What else?
Then there's body warping of Gorgoroth. This lets the sorcerer change their physical form and appearance to flesh, stone, or even a rug.
A rug.
A rug, while miraculously retaining their core abilities. The implications for espionage, escape, or simply hiding in plain sight are as terrifying as they are bizarre. And perhaps most unsettling of all is create zombie.
Oh, classic voodoo style.
Sort of, but much worse. It involves bringing a target to near death with a paralyzing powder, burying them alive while still conscious,
Oh, God.
and forcing them to make sanity rolls every 3 game hours as they slowly suffocate in the earth. If they go insane during this period, they embrace the sorcerer's will, grateful that the terror of the grave has been dispelled by a new, horrifying purpose. Their mind breaks, and they become a slave.
That's agonizing. A slow destruction of the soul.
Pretty much. Beyond these named spells, there are other arcane tools and dark technologies that hint at the broader, terrifying scope of the mythos. Elder signs, for example, require a sacrifice of 10 permanent POW to create and activate. Big cost.
What do?
When placed near an opening or a gate, they make that path unusable to minions of the Great Old Ones and mythos gods, as well as to the greater beings themselves. A cosmic keep-out sign. It's a desperate last resort to block off a cosmic pathway.
Useful.
Then we have gate spells, which create unstable portals to other times or worlds with variable POW and magic point costs, and a mandatory loss of 1 sanity point per trip. Dangerous travel. Some versions can even change those who pass through to aid their survival on alien worlds, an unsettling mutation.
Change them how?
The book is vague, which is creepier. There are also incredibly rare enchanted items that exist without a known creation spell, steeped in ancient unknown magic, such as the Glass from Leng, a curious clouded glass that allows the possessor to see random visions of Cthulhu Mythos beings, with the truly terrifying caveat that those beings can also see the user, reaching back through the veil.
So as you look at them, they look back at you. Yikes.
Exactly. Nowhere is safe.
And then there's the tabula rasa device, an abhorrent piece of Yithian technology that truly embodies the violation of self. What does this horror do?
This monstrous machine can erase up to a year's worth of memories or remove 5 points of INT per round, storing them in a copper box, literally sucking out your mind.
Storing them.
In the box. The memories aren't always completely gone. There's a chilling chance they return as fragmented, unsettling dreams. But the truly terrifying concept is that its function can be reversed, feeding those stored memories back to the original victim, perhaps twisting them, or even feeding them to another entity entirely. Imagine your most cherished memories becoming another being's experience, or food.
That's horrifying.
What?
Pure violation.
Operating it for a human requires an extreme INT roll, a difficult feat, and the failure means brain damage and the loss of 1d100 INT, leaving the operator a drooling wreck.
So even using it is incredibly dangerous.
Absolutely. This is the kind of forbidden knowledge that makes your skin crawl, not just for its power, but for its sheer disregard for what makes us us.
From Lovecraft's unpronounceable names to their indescribable, often geometrically impossible forms, mythos entities are the ultimate antagonists in this game.
The big bads.
They are the cosmic horrors that drive investigators to the brink of madness and beyond, embodying humanity's utter insignificance.
The rulebook meticulously classifies these horrors into a terrifying hierarchy, helping keepers understand their true nature and power. At the top are the outer gods, who rule the universe and generally have little to do with humanity, except through their deceptive messenger and soul, Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. He's the one who meddles.
Right. The active one.
These include terrifying beings like Azathoth, the demon sultan who blasphemes and bubbles at the center of all infinity, writhing mindlessly to the piping of a demon flute, and Yog-Sothoth, who is coterminous with all time and space but locked somehow outside the mundane universe, a gate and a key to all realities, vast cosmic forces.
And the elder gods.
Then there are the elder gods, who are often depicted as neutral, perhaps rivals of the outer gods, and seem to have even less direct contact with humanity. Nodens is the best-known example, maybe. And finally, the Great Old Ones, who are alien godlike entities like Cthulhu himself, often with their own cults and specific malevolent agendas on Earth. They're imprisoned or sleeping, mostly. Importantly, Sandy Peterson's design philosophy for the game specifically focused on retaining the existential dread, emphasizing that these entities are not evil in a human sense, but utterly alien and indifferent, which is far more terrifying.
Right. They don't care about us.
They don't hate humanity. They simply don't even register its existence as meaningful. We're ants, or less.
And this is precisely where the keeper's role is so crucial. The keeper decides how these creatures behave. They're not just growling and attacking, mindlessly reducing hit points, are they?
No, absolutely not. Intelligent creatures from the mythos can build, experiment, worship, learn, torture, or engage in any number of incomprehensible, disturbing, and utterly unwholesome actions. Their behaviors are meant to be dark, unusual, sinister, and often beyond human comprehension, making them all the more terrifying. Think alien, not just monstrous.
A keeper who truly understands this can turn a simple monster encounter into a profound psychological ordeal.
Exactly. What's truly effective and captivating here is the emphasis on narrative impact. The rulebook explicitly advises against easy identification because it takes away mystery and diminishes the dread. Don't just name the monster.
Describe it instead.
Yes. Instead of simply telling the players it's a deep one, the keeper describes it as a dark, wet shape emerging from the foamy surf, half submerged, its slick green skin draped with glistening seaweed and an overpowering stench of long dead fish assaulting your senses.
Build the atmosphere.
Let the players figure it out, or not.
Precisely. This builds a sense of profound unease and uncertainty. And when these monsters are killed, they often dissolve or evaporate into an iridescent mist or a viscous puddle, leaving no physical evidence behind, conveniently preventing the investigators from gathering proof of their existence, maintaining the veil of mundane reality. No corpse to take to the police.
Very convenient for the mythos. It's also important for keepers to constantly measure the threat. Many monsters can effortlessly wipe out an entire party of investigators. So usually the best and most prudent option for investigators is simply to flee and live to fight, or at least run another day. Running is often smart.
That concept of simply fleeing, of surviving by the skin of your teeth, truly defines the game. But to truly appreciate the scale of this struggle, let's glimpse what truly awaits the investigators in the mythos. A sampling from the pantheon of dread.
All right. Let's start with Azathoth, known as the Demon Sultan or the Nuclear Chaos. The big cheese, sort of.
That's its deal.
It's described as that last amorphous blight of nethermost confusion which blasphemes and bubbles at the center of all infinity, writhing mindlessly to the piping of a demon flute played by lesser outer gods. It's mindless chaos at the core of reality. Mindless. This isn't just a monster. It's the ultimate cosmic indifference, the blind, idiot god whose very existence threatens to unmake reality itself. Just seeing it can cause a staggering 1d10 sanity loss on a successful roll, 1d100 on a failure. Your mind might not just crack, it might utterly shatter.
One look can destroy you.
Some believe it begat the universe and is also its eventual end, the primal chaos from which all life emerged and to which all life will eventually return. The horror isn't its malice, but its utter uncaring power. It doesn't even know we exist.
Okay, terrifying. Who's next?
Then, of course, there's Cthulhu, master of Arlai, the poster child. Even in his millennial sleep within the sunken city, Cthulhu sends horrifying dreams to mortals, tipping some into madness, seeding the world with the seeds of his inevitable return. Psychic influence.
So he's asleep but still dangerous.
Very. He's depicted as colossal, with a build of 22, enormous, capable of stomping, kicking, and crushing with his mountainous feet, his clawed hands, and his immense tentacles. He can even scoop up 1d3 investigators at a time, simply to crush them or hold them to his face, their terrified struggles meaningless, like picking up toys.
Scoops them up.
Yep. His cult is ancient and fragmented, spanning across diverse tribes from the frigid Inuits to the degenerate Louisiana swamp folk, all united by his insidious dream influence. He is also served by the amphibious Deep Ones and his monstrous star spawn, creatures that defy conventional biology. The horror of Cthulhu is not just his size, but his insidious psychic reach, slowly preparing humanity for its own undoing.
Okay, what about something weirder?
Let's also consider the Hounds of Tindalos. These are truly terrifying entities that defy our very understanding of space and time. They pursue time travelers through angular spaces, meaning they can only manifest at angles, never curves, corners, edges.
Through angles? What does that even mean?
Exactly. If an investigator like Harvey Walters sees one in the distant past through a mysterious gem, that Hound of Tindalos will be out for blood, relentlessly pursuing its prey not just through space, but through the very fabric of time itself, with a travel time of about 30 days to reach the present, regardless of when it saw you.
So seeing one in the past means it will come for you now.
Yes. The horror here is the absolute inevitability of their pursuit. There is no escape, no hiding from time itself. They embody the terror of being seen across dimensions, a violation of the safe, linear reality we perceive. They break the rules.
Unsettling. Give me another big one.
And then there's Shub-Niggurath, also known as the Black Goat of the Woods with 1,000 young. Lovely name.
Sounds delightful.
She's described as an enormous cloudy mass that boils and festers, a nightmarish, fecund entity constantly giving birth to more horrors. Unholy fertility. She buds off dark, young, grotesque, tree-like creatures with tentacles and hooves that serve as proxies for her faith, devouring non-cultists and accepting unspeakable sacrifices.
Free monster.
Sort of. What's truly unsettling is that she is utterly immune to physical weapons. Only magical weapons, fire, electricity, or similar esoteric energies can harm her. Bullets just pass through. She represents a primordial, chaotic force of unholy fertility and unstoppable growth, a corruption of nature itself.
Immune to normal weapons.
Great.
One more.
Finally, let's mention Ubosathla, the unbegotten source. It is hinted that it was from Upasathla's primordial tissues that the Elder Things created their dread Shoggoths. So maybe the origin of life.
Maybe.
This entity continuously produces offspring, a seemingly endless repulsive birthing, some of which it consumes, sustaining itself in an unending cycle of creation and consumption, just spawning and eating. And here's a deeply disturbing detail. Any spot it touches is devoid of life, leaving a wake of absolute desolation, utter sterility.
Life giver and life taker.
Mechanically, it is immune to impale, projectile, and cutting weapons, and regenerates 25 hit points per round. Very hard to hurt. It's only temporarily dispelled if reduced to 0 hit points. Seeing Ubosathla can result in a devastating 1d8 sanity loss on a success, 5d10 on a failure. Huge potential loss. Your mind struggles to comprehend such a foundational yet utterly repulsive cosmic entity. It embodies the horror of primal, indifferent creation and ultimate sterility.
As you can probably tell from that brief sampling, often the best and most prudent option for investigators when faced with these entities
Run away.
is simply to flee and live to fight, or at least survive, another day. Confronting these entities head-on is rarely a wise decision, and often it's a direct path to madness or an unspeakable demise. Okay, switching gears slightly. The Keeper is truly the unsung hero of the game, you said.
Absolutely.
They are described not just as a game moderator, but as a director who holds all the narrative threads, weaving the mystery and bringing the horrors to life for the players. It's a huge responsibility demanding creativity and adaptability.
That's a perfect description. The Keeper's responsibilities are vast and central to the entire experience. They're tasked with presenting the mystery and story during play, while also role-playing all the monsters and non-player characters, NPCs, the investigators encounter, giving them distinct voices and motivations, making them feel real.
Right.
Crucially, they must run the scenario without bias, letting player choices drive the narrative. And above all else, they must listen to your players and react to what they say and do. This responsive approach is fundamental to a good game, transforming a static story into a dynamic, living experience where player agency truly matters.
And because it's a horror game, players genuinely enjoy being scared. It's what they've signed up for, right?
Usually, yeah.
Keepers are therefore encouraged to discuss safe zones or fade to black for sensitive topics with their players beforehand, establishing clear boundaries. Lines and veils, they call it sometimes.
Important for comfort.
This ensures that everyone enjoys the horror and psychological dread without crossing personal boundaries or making anyone truly uncomfortable. It's about crafting an atmosphere of dread that's fun and thrilling for all participants, rather than genuinely disturbing. Consent is key.
Absolutely. To truly enhance player engagement, the Keeper is advised to pull players actively into the narrative, making it personal. We touched on this. Instead of just telling players facts or plot points, the Keeper might ask them, "There's been a murder in Arkham. Tell me who's been killed."
Let the players define the victim.
Exactly. This encourages players to suggest connections, perhaps volunteering that the deceased could be their investigator's long-lost brother or a former mentor. When the motivation for solving the mystery comes from the player, it holds far more emotional resonance than something imposed by the Keeper.
Makes sense. Their story.
The Keeper should also constantly listen to player backstories and actively weave their fictional families, professions, or personal demons into the unfolding horrors, integrating investigators and plot wherever possible, but always without allowing non-player characters to outshine the investigators, who should remain the stars of their own terrible story. This creates an unparalleled sense of personal investment.
Managing outcomes, especially when things go wrong, is a delicate art for the Keeper. When a player wins a pushed roll, for instance, things go their way, and their desperate goal is achieved. Success. But when they lose that pushed roll,
Yes, the failure.
the Keeper gets to decide what happens, and the focus is always on creating interesting narrative-driving consequences rather than just a flat failure. You fail is boring.
Right. Make it interesting.
For example, instead of saying, "there's nothing there," for a failed spot hidden roll in a dark room, the Keeper might say, "You have not found anything, though the shadows here seem particularly deep tonight," leaving the players wondering if they missed something crucial, perhaps because it was too well hidden, or perhaps because their sanity is already starting to fray, making them doubt their own perceptions. Introduce doubt.
Exactly. This keeps the tension high, the mystery alive, and the players engaged, constantly questioning and exploring. It's about turning every failure into a new narrative hook.
Okay, beyond moderating, the Keeper also bears the creative burden of crafting the scenarios, the very stories the players will explore. How do they approach that?
There are several effective approaches to scenario design, each with its own strengths. A linear scenario presents a clear path from point A to point E, with built-in hazards and detours along the way. Follow the breadcrumbs.
Like a movie plot.
Kind of. These are often inspired by classic books or films, offering a structured narrative progression that allows the Keeper to control pacing tightly. Good for beginners, maybe. Then there's the layers of mystery approach, which, as the name suggests, works like an onion.
Peeling back layers.
Right. Each clue that the investigators uncover peels away one layer of the mystery and invariably leads to a further, more unsettling question or puzzle to solve, constantly building suspense and complexity. Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward is cited as a prime example here.
How so?
Young Ward investigates his wizard ancestor's writings, slowly uncovers how to raise the dead, and then, in a terrifying twist, brings back his ancestor who eventually murders him and takes his place. The horror builds slowly through discovery. It's not a single revelation, but the slow, terrifying accumulation of forbidden knowledge.
Okay, that sounds very Lovecraftian. What else?
A third, and increasingly popular approach is starting with player characters. Here, the Keeper has the players generate their investigators first, often with those rich backstories we discussed. Then, the Keeper uses these unique characters and their backgrounds as the direct inspiration for the scenario, tailor-made.
So the story comes from the characters.
Exactly. This has the profound potential to be a strongly player-led experience, as the plot organically arises from the player's own creations, leading to deeply personal stakes and a much stronger sense of agency. If a character have a troubled family history, perhaps the mythos targets their estranged relatives. If they have a treasured possession, perhaps it's actually a cursed artifact drawing them into danger. Makes it all about them.
And woven throughout all these scenarios, regardless of the structural approach, are the core Lovecraftian themes that the Keeper subtly, or not so subtly, integrates.
Absolutely. Themes like fear of the alien, the outsider, and of knowledge itself.
Big ones. The underlying philosophy is that man is imprisoned and isolated, and truth lies in dark, secret places. This often means investigators find themselves cut off from civilization, with no working phones, no reliable external help, forced to work on the fringe of society, or even as outsiders themselves, perhaps due to a criminal past or just sheer social isolation.
That feeling of being alone against incomprehensible forces is absolutely vital to the horror. No backup coming.
The rulebook even provides compelling example scenarios to demonstrate these principles in practice. Can you tell us about one?
Sure. One is amidst the ancient trees. Sounds peaceful, right?
Deceptively so, I
Yeah,
bet.
right. It starts with a seemingly mundane kidnapping in rural Vermont. Standard stuff. This leads the investigators to terrifying encounters with Glaki, an ancient great old one confined by a crystal prison beneath a lake, whose dream pull subtly draws victims to the water's edge, like a psychic lure.
A monster in the lake. Classic.
They also encounter Glocky's undying servants, who are chillingly reanimated Civil War deserters like Joseph Turner's gang, forever bound to their monstrous master. Zombies, basically, but worse.
Civil War zombies. Okay.
The scenario encourages the keeper to use rumors to drop subtle, unsettling hints about these dangers. Whether they allude to Glocky's presence, the buried crystal, or the ghosts of those long-dead soldiers. Foreshadowing. You might hear faint, distant truck engines, or the chilling sound of rifle fire in the distance, indicating encounters the kidnappers are having with these undead servants. Builds tension off stage. The climax might involve Glocky trying to convert investigators to undying servants at the very edge of the dark, murky lake, forever binding them to its will. Join us, or die. Or both.
That sounds intense. How about the other one? Crimson Letters.
Ah, yes. Crimson Letters is a more classic mystery centered on the gruesome murder of a seemingly ordinary professor named Charles Leiter at Miskatonic University. Academic intrigue. The investigation quickly leads to missing Arkham Witch trial papers, which are, wait for it, bound in blood and ink.
Bound in blood, literally.
Quite possibly. This isn't just a fancy title. It means something otherworldly and utterly inimical to life slumbers within them, slowly unraveling its bindings and beginning to hunt those who have come into physical contact with the papers, marking them for an unseen doom. The papers themselves are cursed.
So touching them is dangerous.
Extremely. The scenario is less about specific locations and more about a detailed, complex, dramatis personae, each with their own secrets, making the human element a source of both aid and profound treachery. Who can you trust?
This dramatis personae in Crimson Letters is indeed filled with intriguing characters, each a narrative lever the keeper can manipulate. Tell us about some.
Okay, there's the ambitious academic Harlan Roach. He's secretly terrified of Dean Fallon, but can't stop gloating about Leiter's death and wants to steal the papers himself. Petty, cowardly.
A classic academic rival.
Then there's Dean Fallon. He's far from a bumbling academic. He's a discreet, experienced individual who has dealt with unfortunate matters for the university before. Subtly aware that things far from the normal run of existence gather around Arkham, he knows more than he lets on. Represents institutional cover-up, maybe?
The university protecting its secrets.
And then there's Abner Wick, who presents many masks. He runs a respectable antique business, a front for his true, horrifying nature.
Which is?
He is, in fact, a cannibal and murderer with tainted blood from his origin as a ghoul hybrid born nearly a century ago in ghoul-burrowed passages beneath Boston.
A ghoul hybrid cannibal. Wow.
His taste for human flesh is slowly degenerating into a taste for carrion, a terrifying sign he will soon fully pass into the darkness of ghouldom. He's changing. He serves as a critical go-between for the world above and below, a procurer of flesh and treasures for those darker realms. Connects the human world to the ghouls.
So he's a source of information, but dangerous.
Extremely. He possesses vast mythos knowledge and can offer singular insights to the investigators, though he prefers to speak in dark possibilities and unsettling riddles. Never straightforward. He employs Hector and Carla Federman, ghoul-tainted siblings, for his dirtiest work, making them truly disturbing henchmen. The scenario also features Cecil Hunter, an insane forger committed to Arkham Sanatorium after trying to copy the papers, now endlessly babbling about worms seething in the walls, a victim of the paper's influence.
So many potential allies and enemies.
Exactly. These characters are not just plot devices, they are extensions of the horror itself, reflecting the insidious corruption the mythos brings to humanity.
And the ultimate solution to the horror in Crimson Letters isn't a simple defeat of a monster, is it?
No, it's more complex. The most obvious way to resolve it is by destroying the illustrated portion of the papers, as that's where the actual danger, the sentient malevolence, truly lies. Burn the pictures. However, doing so is a risky business, as the horror will immediately manifest in a frenzy, attacking as it unravels into the ether until it disintegrates. A process that takes 1d6 rounds. Destroying it means fighting it first.
A final, desperate fight.
It's a terrifying, last-ditch effort that forces players into a desperate, visceral confrontation, and it beautifully encapsulates the brutal, uncompromising horror of the game. Sometimes, victory means facing your doom head-on, even if it's a fleeting, suicidal triumph. Win by dying, perhaps.
What an incredible journey. We've truly delved into the heart of Call of Cthulhu. From the brilliant, if unsettling minds behind the mythos to the chilling mechanics that bring its horrors to your tabletop, allowing you to experience the descent into madness and encounter things humanity was never meant to know.
It's truly a game where knowledge is a double-edged sword, where sanity is fleeting, and where human vulnerability is absolutely central to the horror. It's about confronting the vast, uncaring cosmos and finding unexpected bravery, or, as is often the case, succumbing to the inevitable madness that follows such terrifying revelations.
It embodies the core tenets of Lovecraft's vision, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That we are small, fragile, and utterly inconsequential in the face of true cosmic power.
Perfectly.
It truly captures the essence of Lovecraft, that primal fear of the unknown, and the unsettling realization that humanity is but a tiny speck, a fleeting delusion in a universe teeming with ancient, indifferent horrors. And yet, within that terrifying, structured framework, the game empowers players to create their own unique stories of investigation, struggle, and often grim sacrifice, finding a strange kind of heroism in simply bearing witness to the unbearable. Given all we've learned today on the Uncanny Valley podcast, perhaps the most terrifying part of the Cthulhu mythos isn't the monsters themselves, but the knowledge that our very perception of reality is just a consensual human delusion, a fragile shield against truths that would shatter our minds. What if the game, in its stark portrayal of existential dread, is more real than we think?
And what if, as Lovecraft himself suggested, the oldest and strongest kind of fear is indeed the fear of the unknown, because the unknown is always out there waiting, just beyond the veil of our limited, comforting reality, ready to consume us.
Whether you pick up the rulebook and try your hand at keeping or investigating, or decide to dive into Lovecraft's original unsettling stories, or just let these chilling ideas simmer in your mind, we hope this exploration has given you a glimpse into a world both terrifying and utterly compelling. Join us next time on the Uncanny Valley podcast.